Hey everyone, and thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Thanks for tuning into this session. Thanks for the feedback on our first YouTube video last week. With this video, we're going to be creating our first database. I'll just quickly discuss what data is, how data is collected in like a hospital scenario, how data is stored. And in that process, we're going to create our first database with its first few objects. So stay tuned.
So this is a hospital, and like any other hospital, it has lots of records. These include patient records, which patients they have, which have been discharged, their demographic details. They also have records on the doctors themselves and their suppliers and their staff, and this can become quickly overwhelming if everything is kept on paper. And that's why we have databases.
So when you first open your Snowflake account, you will find that there's some sample databases that Snowflake has put there for you. I have taken these down. So we're going to create our first database. You can create this by either scripting it out, or you can actually just use the interface that they have for you, and just say, since we're creating a medical records or a hospital records database, we are going to I'm going to maybe start with a staff database. We'll say contains tables relating to staff members, example, doctors, and you don't have to put in the comment section. Nurse, admin, maintenance, right? And then we're gonna click on create. All right, so we've got the staff database. You always get two schemas that come with any database that you create, the information schema and the public schema. So the information schema is provided by Snowflake and contains read-only views and table functions which return metadata about the other databases you might have. Yeah. And then the public schema, again, it's also created by default. You can actually use this. It's like a starting point for you. It's a starting point schema for you. Have I been saying database this whole time? Yeah. The information schema gives you metadata on all the databases you have, on all the schemas you have. The information schema gives you metadata on all the other schemas you have within the database. And then the public schema is kind of like a default schema they give you as kind of like a starting point. So you can rename it. We could rename this to, let's say, medical. Let's continue. Medical officer. Now, Snowflake does not accept spaces within schema names. If your schema name is going to have spaces, you need to wrap it in double quotes. Medical officer. right? Or should we just use doctor in this instance? Yeah, let's just use doctors. Doctors, right? This is obvious. It contains information about the doctors. Or should we say, nah, let's say medical staff. Medical staff. Now, what sucks about the space and the quotes is that from wherever you're going to reference the schema, it'll always have to be in quotes. And I personally don't like to do that. So an underscore does a good job of it. Well, medical staff, right? This is going to disappear. It appears like it's two, but sometimes it just takes a second. If you do a refresh, you find that now it's been updated. So let's create some tables. Okay, so when you're creating a standard table, it will kind of script it out for you. You can also click on view documentation to see all the options for creating a table. You can create a table as a select if you're selecting from an existing table. Yeah. Anyway, create table. Let's call this table doctors, right? And then column 1, let's make it ID. And this is going to be, let's make this an integer. I want to say, let's make this an identity column, which basically, let's just put that up together. Identity Snowflake. Auto increment. So it'll automatically create ID number 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there should be code for how to do that. Auto increment. And it gives all the information for that. I mean, I imagine that the doctors have ID numbers, but because we're going to have to be the ones conjuring these up, I say let's just make it an identity. And identity, although I think it might need to be identity. We need to set it to auto increment. Online primary key. So number 2, we're gonna do first name. This is a variable character. And if you want to read about data types, you can actually do this. And it's what it says it is. It's a data type. What type of data is it that you are introducing, right? So let's say Snowflake data types. Again, Snowflake documentation is your friend, and I'll provide links to all this data. You've got numeric data types, you've got strings and binary data types. It's like a ones and zeros. You've got date and time data types. Now, I really encourage you to just go through reading what these data types are and how they work. It's really helpful. Right? Okay. First name, variable character, varchar, and then just do middle name. This is also varchar, and let's do name, also a varchar. Let's do full name, right? I know it seems redundant, but yeah, let's not do a full name because we can combine these if you want to view a full name. So let's leave it like that. Let's do what their specialty is. Specialty. There has to be a better word for this. Let me just do a quick Google. Okay, I've decided to leave it as that because my Google tells me that that is in fact, I think, specialty, right? So you could be like a dermatologist and sometimes you can limit the length on your text characters. And for some databases, I'm not sure if it's the same with Snowflake, but for some databases, this affects storage space on your database. So I'm kind of leaving it at the default. I'm not sure what the default is, but because I just don't have any constraints later on. For example, if I said this was like true, right? It would just mean we can have two characters under specialty, and that's hardly anything. So I'm just going to leave it at the default. If this was on SQL Server, I normally default it to 250 characters because I can't imagine anyone having a name that's 250 characters long. What's the Snowflake default? We can just look that up together. Snowflake varchar default length. If not length is specified. The default is the maximum allowed length. So maybe that's not a great idea. So you know what, maybe let's specify 250 because yeah, I don't want to use max because I'm not sure if exactly the storage space might be based off of the space we're occupying with just the first name. So let's just make this 250. I hope this is the right syntax for Snowflake because we're used to doing this on SQL Server. So let's just hope, yeah, varchar 250, right? And then we want to give them I have actually decided to include a title. So this is whether it's a Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. I imagine in the world we live in, this shouldn't be too important, but if you are trying to identify if you've got the right doctor in the room and, it'll just prevent fraud because you can identify that I'm expecting a female or a male or whatever. So this Mr. like 5 characters, I'll just make that 10 just in case because you never know. How many characters is, let's just leave that as 10. That's being generous. Let's make this 5, right? MISS is 4. I can't think of another title, which not just leave it as 10. All right. And then I've decided to change ID to registration. Registration number. And in naming your column names, you can decide to use a camel case where each new word is an uppercase word, or you could decide to use an underscore, or if you do want to have a space, you can have a space. Just be sure to wrap that with a quote, right? So I just go with what I like, which is camel. Or you go with what your team likes to do, and you just kind of follow their lead on that, right? I've also never really done a primary key for a table on Snowflake. I mean, I assume this works the same as SQL Server. If it doesn't, we'll come back and fix it. So let's have everything in one table, right? Let's have their qualification name, also voucher 250. I just want to quickly look up Snowflake voucher. Yeah, the maximum is that. That's crazy. Qualification name, this would be the Boolean data type. This is where the doctor is in good standing with the professional body. So whether they're active or they've been suspended, sometimes it's for malpractice or for not renewing their membership, all sorts of things. That will be like a yes, no situation. If it's another doctor can't be working with us. I think that's because I had a little list I was using for this. Actually, we can have a little more. Under specialty, let's put phone. I think I'm going to make this voucher simply because phone numbers are weird and wonderful. Yeah, phone numbers can just be weird. I know 250 is a bit much. Maybe 50. Right. Maybe 20. And then let's do email. Right. This is also a voucher. And then let's make this. I mean, I can't imagine anyone having an email that's 100 characters long. That would be insane. But some people do have some long names, so let's leave it at 100. Let's do department, although some doctors do rotate. Nah, let's take up department. I think specialty is enough. And I don't know. Can you not think of anything else? If you can, let me know. Put in the comments section, because we're building our hospital here. All right. And we can actually come and edit this later in the future to add some columns or to take them out. So that's not a big problem for us. Let's create table. Yay, we've got our first table. Currently, this tab will show you all the columns that are available, and it will also show you the data that's currently in it. We don't have any data in here for now, but that's okay. I'm going to see if I can get someone, a good friend of mine, to create a portal or a website where a hypothetical admin staff member is capturing doctors' details, or the doctors themselves are completing a form which then populates this table, right? So that we have like ongoing, obviously this will be hypothetical data. None of it's going to be real. And we can do different things with this table. We can edit the table. Well, this just edits the table name. We can edit the table name. We can add tags to it, and we can discuss at a later time what the tag is and how that helps. We can clone this table if you want to use the exact same table for something else. We can drop this table, say we're no longer happy with it. We want to get rid of it. Just click drop and transfer ownership, something I'll discuss later on. Or we could load data. Or I'm just going to go ahead and create all the other tables. You're free to watch. So this is the medical staff schema. We've got doctors, medical staff, create table. I'm going to call it son, nurses, actually, because this is going to be pretty much the same data as doctors, I'm going to open this. You can either copy this or open in worksheets. I'm going to open in worksheets. So let's just create a new folder, and let's call this our unit statements. This rightfully belongs in there. We have to create statements, right? And yes, you'll notice that I did this today. Hopefully, I don't know if I'll be able to publish it today, but 23rd of November at midnight, because it's the only time we get some peace and quiet. Okay, so medical staff, this is going to be nurses. You will also notice that on the worksheets, you do have an option of deciding the database you're working from and the schema you're working from. You can also specify the warehouse that you're working with. I'm not sure if I'll actually discuss this in another video of like the database administration or the administration of Snowflake. What are roles, what are warehouses, but essentially a warehouse determines things like speed of how quickly things are processed, and that also then increases your billing. So the larger the warehouse, you know what, let's leave this for the other, okay, because I think I do need to look at it a bit as well. So I'm not going to give you wrong information. For now, we're using this extra small one called Compute Warehouse. I'm still on my free trial. So we're going to call this nurses. And you notice that it came with a create or replace registration number. They also need to register title, names, specialty. Some nurses have a specialty like midwives. I'm not sure if they constitute nurses, but I imagine that's how it would work. Otherwise, we can leave it as null, right? So we'll just leave that there. Phone, email, qualification name, date obtained, professional, counsel status. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Nurses created. I'm trying to think of other medical staff apart from doctors and nurses. Doctors, nurses. I will categorize anesthesiologists as doctors. I think they have to be a doctor. Yeah, if we think of any other medical staff you can have, feel free. And yeah, so we've got our nurses now. So if we refresh this page, we will have doctors and nurses. Let's do another database, actually. Why is it data? Let's create another database called patients. I'm actually thinking about this now. Should it be a full-on database or should it just be a schema? So ideally, you would have sat down to clearly design or should we do awards? Well, let's do patients. Yeah, let's do patients, right? I don't think it deserves a database, but you know what? Let's go ahead. We'll make whatever changes we do. Okay, so we've got our database called patients. Public schema, I'm just gonna edit this, and then let's have yeah, I feel like this should be a schema. Yeah, you know what? Let's cancel that. Let's drop this database. Drop. Oh, I've got 7 days left in my trial. Okay. Let's come and edit this. I actually want to edit this and call it I'm so full of myself. Get the hospital. It's a hospital. Okay, damn hospital contains all the records related to the hospital. I'm trying to think of an icon I can name my. It obviously used to put my mom in it, but we'll come back. We'll change it some other day. But I think just make it KM Hospital. And then save that, right? I don't enjoy seeing both things, so I'm just going to do a quick refresh, a young refresh, and voila, okay? And then we've got medical staff schema. Now I can add another schema called patients, and this feels right. Patient records. This sounds wild. Records and details. Yeah, I think records is good enough. How likely to recommend submit? Right. So under the patient schema, I'm going to create, there's multiple things you can create. You can create a view. We'll do these later. I'll show you stage. We can do these later. I haven't done some of these, so we can just work through them together. Let's create a table, standard. Then patient details. And I have also just decided to maybe use underscores and one, but it needs to be consistent. Yeah, let's do underscores, okay, going forward. And with IDs, let's be specific and say patient ID, because later on, when you're doing your analysis and you're combining multiple tables together to form a view, and you have ID, it can be a little hard to distinguish which ID belongs to which table. So if you spin it out and say patient ID, that's kind of going to help. For now, let's just do make it a primary key, make it a number. You'll notice that Snowflake automatically changed. Snowflake doesn't do integer, I think. They do number. But if you do say integer, they will automatically convert it to number. And that's fine. Not now. Auto increment is the primary key specification we made earlier, because primary keys can never be null, and they have to be unique. So I wonder if it enforced uniqueness with this statement. Anyway, all right, we've got our patient ID. Let's take patients don't have specialties. Patient in that. I'm not sure what kind of information people collect about. patients. I should have probably done my research. Oh, I could check my own medical records. Yeah, occupation. Oh, I forgot the most important one. Date of birth. But does everyone understand what DOB means? Yeah, they do. All right, let's make this an no. Date. Oh, and gender. Voucher. What? How many characters is to specify? 2122. That's like this, that. Where they live. Address. I'm going to leave this as max because, yeah, this could potentially be a problem in the future. Patient. What other details would you collect about a patient? Major fire. Alone. Patient. Patient status. I'm just trying to stay with the theme since we decided we're gonna do undisclosed. Because kind of case doesn't work on Snowflake. Patient status. And patient. Outpatient. Voucher. Okay. What is this? A slitch characters one. Let's make this 12 for designation. Now, for the appointments table, I want to reference the patient ID, which is in here, right? I want to reference this patient ID. Now, when you're creating databases, you can do that. You can reference a value from somewhere else so that you're always getting a real patient ID. That's called a foreign key. So we're just going to script it here. Let's hope this works. Foreign key wrap this foreign key patient ID, references, place name and editor, patient details, and the name of the column you're referencing is patient A. Right? And then next we have the doctor ID. The doctor ID is actually called, KM Hospital, medical staff, tables, doctors, registration number. But we're going to call it the doctor ID. Doctor ID references. This is medical. Okay, so because I don't want to figure out whether or not I don't want to be a genius about this, okay? And make mistakes. I want to just straight away go to medical staff, tables, doctors, place name and editor. And then that's the registration number for the doctor. Let's do how can it manage date field. Let's make it a date time. Date time is exactly what it says it is. It's, why is it not coming out? Let's check the data types for Snowflake. Data types. Date and time. Yeah, Date time is like a SQL Server thing on Snowflake. They just call it timestamp. Yeah, they call it a timestamp. And the reason I want a timestamp is because I want to know what time the patient is supposed to be coming in for their appointment. So, and then let's make this referring. Let's make this the doctor ID. And this doesn't necessarily mean the referring doctor ID. The referring doctor is from the same hospital. Like maybe you went to a different hospital and then they referred you to, I think I'm Koketso. That's the English doctor ID. That's the doctor you're going to see that day. One day, well, you've got multiple hospitals. Why one day? Let's plan for the future, right? Referring doctor ID. And then let's not make that a reference. Should be a reference. Is the doctor who is you're going to consult. I don't know what you call that doctor. Okay. We're going to make the other doctor a receiving doctor. Now I was tempted to say consulting. Referring doctor ID, receiving doctor ID. This could also be a nurse. Referring practitioner ID. This could be a nurse. This could be a doctor. The receiving doctor at this hospital will definitely reference, right? Okay, we've got the time for the appointment. What else could we possibly put? Should we put logs? And then like max step voucher max. The default is max, so we leave it as is. I think that's good enough for now. So we're going to create this table called appointments. Uh-oh. Oh no, because this is not a foreign key anymore. It's just a column, which I'm gonna build. Now, if I make this ID a number, I'm assuming that all other hospitals have their IDs as numbers, which is dangerous. So let's make this a bar chart. I think Snowflake can easily think, if we encounter a problem with this later, then we will deal with it later. But I think Snowflake can convert an integer number into a bar chart. Bar chart. Create table. Invalid identifier. Why? Okay. Let's figure this out. Okay, I did a quick search on that. Apparently, we're supposed to add the word constraint here. Constraint. And then that should do it, hopefully. Constraint. Create table. No. My favorite thing about Snowflake is probably that error messages can be really well detailed, and I appreciate that so much. It would actually turn out that we need to specify the name of the constraint here. So let's say we'll call it patient key 1, and then call this one the doctor key. Not authorized by rule. I just realized what a silly mistake this is. KM Hospital is a database. Patient is the schema. What's doctors doing there? That's what we get for copy and paste. So let's fix that. And I'm trying to see where it's reading that from. Oh, that's because I'm working within this schema. I specified a schema name here, but so this kind of assumes that whatever I'm putting is within the patient's schema, and that's why it's not working. So let's just do some good old place name in editor that gives a full name. That should work. What's wrong with patient ID? So the reason this is failing is because we're declaring a constraint on a column which has not been declared or created yet, at least not in the order of things here, right? So let's just add the column first, and then the constraint will work, right? So let's do patient underscore ID, and then let's make this, I think we made the other one an integer, number 380, right? Integer, int. And then let's also have the receiving doctor ID. I want to make this large. Right, so I think that should do it. Okay. So it says primary or unique key does not exist for the columns referenced by the foreign key. So, which was kind of what I suspected when we were doing, I kind of suspected that was going to be the case. Patient details, that this was not a unique. No, really. That this was not a unique column. It was just not null, and it was also incrementing, but wasn't actually unique. Okay, so turns out Snowflake does not enforce primary keys. So I saw someone do this. timeline, and then patient underscore ID. Let's see if this does the trick. Yeah, the data types need to match. So this needs to be an integer. I think I should possibly revisit. Okay, so we finally have, and that's because I made this an integer and I made this an integer, but I think going forward, we should make the IDs larger, but then they won't auto increment, which is kind of the angle I'm going for. Oh, let's leave them as integers, but at some point I want to explore an option where it's prefixed by some letters, and it's the reason we have auto increment right now is that I don't have any data, and I just want to be able to work with what I've got and to have some kind of ID. But going forward, ideally, I think the IDs or the registration number should look something like, say if it's a patient and your surname starts with, which I think of surname, why is this so hard? MOG, right? MOG, right? And if it's a doctor, maybe a dermatologist, it's DER. So that's what I'm thinking for in the future. But now, because we should probably revisit this in the next video. Well, I'll just make it short over the week. Once I figure out how to do that, make it auto increment plus the prefix. Yeah, okay. So we'll be happy with this for now. And what other tables did I want to create? Or maybe let's stop here for now, and then we'll create the other tables as we go. We've got patient information, doctor information, we've got appointments. Maybe I'll also just create a short sometime. Today's Thursday. I'll create a short sometime next week where I just basically do like other tables, medical records, billing information. And you guys can contribute if you want any other videos that you'd like for me to add, tables that you'd like for us to see. And eventually we're going to see how all of this ties up with DBT, and we can pick a visualization tool of our choice. We can start basic and then go platinum. I think that's all I've got for you today. On the next video, we can look at populating some of these tables either ourselves, or if I got my friend to do that portal, we can populate through the portal and have our tables actually show some data and just see how that data behaves, how we can query those tables and see what's in them. All right. Thank you for watching this future video. Bye. Bye. So you just start by the